the KISS Australia Crit Race. I'm joined today by Mr. Wesman, straight out of the land down under, where I think things are cooling down a little bit, but it's heating up out on Zwift. Wes, welcome to the broadcast of this KISS Crit Race today. Looks like the riders are jumping out there about a minute 17 out, and things are cooling down, but heating up at the same time down there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of heat generated in the garages, in the lounge rooms, and wherever these stations are set up. Looks like we've got Anthony Ciano on the screen right now. The Zwift kid is back, so he was one of the finalists in the eCrit last year. So in amongst it here from Western Australia, has actually been doing, I think, some running races recently, some other charity events as well. So good to see Anthony making his comeback here and getting back involved in the eCrit.
Looks like him and Creel, actually, Jeffrey Creel, both showing up here at the crit here. And they are going to be doing 8 laps out on the volcano today. You know, the Zwift kid, I think he did fairly well last year at that final. If it wasn't a W or at least a second place, I should have that correct. Put on vision. Yeah. Second place. It was second place, and Aaron Dunn. Excuse me, of course, yeah. Aaron Dunn grabbed the W, as I did do an interview with him last year, I do remember. So, Zwift Kid here looking to show up and throw down some numbers. I'm also seeing Shaw, AHDR, Pat Shaw out there racing with it. I didn't know that he was a racer, actually. I knew him as a commentator, but I didn't know that he was out there racing. Does he have some Palmares underneath his belt there? And what can we expect from him in the A grade, Wes?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Pat Shaw was, if not third or fourth in the eCrit last year. He attacked early in the final I'm talking about, in the live final in Rafa in the clubhouse. He attacked really early with about a K to go. And that sort of was his style last year. He won a lot of on the London course, attacking under the K to go banner from 800 out. He trialed that early on in the series, doing about from 500 out, and then it just increased to further and further out. He was actually doing attacks of just under or just out from the K to go banner and was holding on for the win. So he certainly has some firepower, but he was forced into structured training, as he told me. I know Pat well. And he said that, it actually forced him into some structured training to make sure he was in shape for these races, because he was actually surprised at how hard and difficult they were. He said they were no different to doing a Bay Crits race, which if you're in Australia, you know that the Bay Crits is one of the hardest sort of criterium series that you can do in Australia, and the intensity that these eCrits are raced at is around that same intensity. So that's sure probably not as trained up as he was last year, but nonetheless he knows how to hurt himself.
Yeah, the racing for sure. When you're speaking about the type of intensity, I was out on course racing just a WBR 2-lap and taking a little break from training this year, and the reminder was definitely there about how difficult these races are. That is for sure. I got dropped like a bad habit pretty quickly on the second lap into the classic course up and over the top of the climb. But speaking of climbs here, though, and what the laps are going to be like from lap to lap here, if you're just tuning in and not familiar with Zwift racing, this is going to be 8 laps out on the volcano course. Every lap, they do have a climb into the volcano that is fairly significant. We do see a lot of attacks a lot of times on this 2-tier that is coming up here. We do see off the front here, actually, I do believe that is a WP Taz rider, Z Johnson here, knowing a little bit of an early jump is always smart. 9 watts per kilogram now, kicking from, is the nickname JJ there, I'm assuming, for Z Johnson there, Wes?
Yeah, it looks like it is. I think that's Zach Johnson, if I'm correct. So JJ looks like he's decided to go it alone here, or maybe try and stir something up early here for the Wolfpack Taz crew. So hopefully we've got a few others in there as well. If I'm not mistaken, maybe Nazi might have dropped in there tonight. We were trying to rally up some other troops as well for the Wolfpack Taz crew. So hopefully there's a few other numbers in there tonight. But it looks like JJ has gone out on his own here, really laying the hammer down here at 500 watts and holding as well.
182 though beats per minute, definitely up there and suffering for it. B Trekkie here now trying to chase that down. 7.7 watts per kilogram coming from him, 179 beats per minute. So this has definitely raised the heart rates up, and that's always what it's like with this 2-tier jumping in. That first little kick into the volcano, and then this second one though is really the one that starts to put people into the pressure. You know, the first one, a lot of people can go with an initial power kick, but once that heart rate gets up into that over threshold place, a lot of times that's when you start to see people falling off the back. So it does look like there might be a little bit of separation here. Looking back for where it might exist here, we do see Nolan here up in that 8.4 watts per kilogram, an A rider here, 158 beats per minute. We'll give him a ride on as he tries to close the gap down. Then we got M Pepper here on the back, Elias as well from Innovation. You can always recognize those Innovation kits with that Alienware kit. Now that kit is available to anybody in game, but they do have adopted that as their team kit. And if they do have that INC next to the name, you do know that it is an Innovation rider. So it does look like MA here out of Japan, able to close it down. The Zwift kid playing it smart, using up that drafting power up. Now, I'm going to go over the rules here real quickly, as we do see some power-ups being used. People a lot of times do have some questions about that. So power-ups are allowed at all times in KISS races. Every time somebody goes through a banner, they do have the ability to pick up a power-up. If they've already used the one that they have, they will be able to gain one. You do have to go through a banner to get one, so a lot of times riders will go out before the races and find a banner to go underneath and try and get their favorite power-up. Usually it's that arrow power-up, wouldn't you say, Wes, that most people are after and looking to load up with before the races?
Definitely, the aero power up is one that some riders will save for half the race if they can. So you know it's a very vital power up, especially for the sprint finish. Obviously with the featherweight uphill, but you still want that aero power up. It's going to be by far the best suited for the finish.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that reduction of the reduction of the resistance on the rider, you become like a slipstream when you use that arrow pop. We do somebody pop one on the back there, and 30 seconds straight is what you get. Does look like there is a 12-second gap now back to P. Randall. And I think that with up to 15 seconds almost at this point, it might be said and done for this chase group. And we do have our main group up front here with the B's and the A's that have made it for the front group, but it still looks like around 20 or so, maybe even 30 riders in this lead group. So it hasn't broken up too much so far. We are into the first of 8 laps here, 4.1 miles in, and it looks like Dunn has shown up. This is last year's winner of the Australian Down Under E-Crit here. So it looks like he's showing up. So we got first, second, fourth. I think they're really starting to tune up the gears here and get ready for some serious racing this year for the Land Down Under's Crit Series.
They definitely are. And looks like we've got a few people tuning in as well from the UK as well, saying on the Facebook Live, Community Live pages, saying hello from Angela and Paul Watson watching from the UK. We've just got Chris Birtwhistle actually joined in as well, and a couple other predictions very early on about this race as well. Someone's predicted that it was Jared Pitcock reckons that Hugo Jones will win. So
okay,
shout out to Hugo Jones.
Shout out to Hugo Jones there, coming from Jared Pitcock there, actually. And I actually can bring those right on in, so I'll make sure to keep an eye on that. And as people do comment, we will be able to bring in your comments to the broadcast here. We just have a... we'll make sure to keep Wes in the scene as well. So if you would like to jump into the broadcast, I am seeing Angela Watson come on in and saying hello, as well as a few others there. So make sure to keep the comments coming. We'll try and bring them in to the broadcast as we do go along here. And I am seeing Sawatsky here, also coming from Vision Cycling. So Vision, Innovation, WP Taz. As far as the team tactics go, it does look like those are going to be the three teams out on course that we're going to have to be watching out for. Zawadzki. HDR is also out there, but it looks like maybe just with Shaw out there today. So, you know, when it comes to team tactics, Wes, you've raced out on Zwift quite a bit, I believe. I've done so as well. It really does matter when it comes to shutting down attacks. I mean, somebody goes off the front, and if everybody kind of sits there and watches it, it becomes kind of like, who's going to go? Who's going to close this down? Who's going to bring that attack back? I mean, early on, a lot of times the pack will do the work for you. But Johnson actually, JJ here, 7 seconds off the front. I think he made an attack on the downhill on the other side of the lap there. And they do have a solid 7 seconds here. JJ and Roberts, that is a little bit of a worry there, I think, that they're going to be watching out for. If that continues out to 15, they could find themselves some trouble.
It definitely is here. It looks like the pack is sort of stretching along here, and with the counterattacks going over the top of each other here, it's annihilating that break a little bit at the moment. But he's away with Cameron Roberts, who's been dominating in this eCrit preseason and won a lot of the races early on. So strong pack here, and this is where it's going to really hurt now. Some of the riders are stretching out. We can see down the back there, Nath. After this initial stretching and the break coming back, someone is going to go over the top. And if they do have the legs, that's when something could really stick here.
Look at this, like you were just saying, and we said last lap, this is the breaking moments. Everybody's been racing for about 11 minutes, 10 minutes or so. If anybody was on that limit that entire time, just hanging on for dear life, and then they kick it like this, it gets strung out, the pack isn't all bunched up any longer, you can't find a wheel easily, and next thing you know, you're all alone, having to close gaps on your own. If you're already on your limit, it's GG at that point. Good game, and a lot of times, that's when you see riders falling off. Look at it stretch out at this point. Only one wheel to hang on to in front of you. We do see a couple of riders. They're throwing aero power-ups just to hang on. 182 beats per minute coming from Chung here, coming from Race WBR. It does look like Pat Shaw is able to hang on, playing smart. 167 beats per minute. But off the back, here's the chase group that has formed because of those attacks. 9 seconds is what needs to be closed up. Jay Wilson here, WP Taz now trying to close it down. Will he be able to do it? 9 watts per kilogram, 34 miles per hour. Can Constantine jump onto the back wheel there? Doesn't look like it's going to happen. That aero power-up so strong. 35 miles per hour, 6.3 miles in. Now at 12 minutes, it looks like this is going to be the lead group. It will settle down a little bit. I believe Wilson will be able to get back on terms here at 35. As you can see, the pack is slowed to 28. And maybe even this chase group might be able to close it down. We are seeing Z-Power here from Constantine. He might have a little extra kick there in the legs and the Z-Power there at 187. Stevens there at 5.1, trying to hold on. Jones, that was the call-out,
Hugo,
I believe.
Hugo. That was the call-out. And we got another message actually from the Zwift Academy winner actually from Ollie Jones, has said a call out of the dark horse is Hugo Jones. So, and someone also I think it's Pitchcock is also requesting for a zoom in on Hugo, if that's possible.
All right. Well, we got the zoom in on Hugo. He's got the facial hair, the dude. We're going to call him the dude from here on out. I mean, look at those glasses. This guy is cool. Training Peaks kid.
He looks like a warrior with that hair and that mane.
No helmet. And the dude look, he definitely abides with the front pack at this point, I believe. Yep, he has gotten back on terms with Creel and the Zwift kid and Adon. A lot of the big hitters here coming from the land down under. So watch out for Hugo Jones. If anybody's going to know somebody watching out for, Ollie Jones. Now, is there a relation there? That is a good question there. Or they're both the same last name there. Ollie, you're going to have to let us know if there is any type of relation there at all, because it looks like it's at least a similar in the last name there. So looking through, though, it does look like we do have a pack all back together, about 20 or so riders. Still a chase group here. Well, no man's land here for TKO. We'll see if he can get back on terms, at least with the group chasing. Just 3 on their lonesome. I think they're going to be waiting up for the group behind. 3 versus 20. Very difficult situation in Zwift. And for those of you just tuning in, unfamiliar with how this works, there's definitely drafting in game. The riders who are sitting on the riders in front of them have to work less to produce the same speed. They have to produce less power in order to produce the same speed as all the riders around them. These are all real riders from all over the world. As you can see, all the flags on the right-hand side. For those of you just tuning in over at Mixer, I am seeing a lot of the viewership rise up over on Mixer. Good to see Hither Harmony over there, as well as more Zebra. Good to see you guys. We are live on Twitch, Mixer, as well as YouTube and Facebook. We are watching the Mixer and the Facebook chat, just so you guys know, if you want some interaction from us here on the broadcast. But all of the flags on the right-hand side, as you can see, are where these riders are riding from, able to compete against each other from all over the world in real time and battle it out from their pain cave. So now we're going to kick it into the volcano again. At the front, JJ, who's been pretty much an instigator. Now the feather power-ups are being blown here. Does reduce the weight of the avatars by about 1 watt per kilogram. See Strong there, coming out of New Zealand, 181 beats per minute. 500 watts there, 27 miles per hour over the top. Holding a solid 7.3 here. He might get a little bit of gap, and we might see another situation where these riders start to fall off. And I have a feeling it's going to be like this a little bit each lap until the strongmen are left standing there, Wes.
We saw C Strong win convincingly in a sprint in the London course the other week. Very, very strong sprint, was way up in the 15 watts per kilo in the sprint. So C Strong is definitely someone you don't want to go to line with here. We also are getting an update on Facebook as well that that Hugo is Ollie's brother. I don't know if Jared's maybe feeding me the right information or whether he's stirring the pot, but he says they're brothers. I don't know. Well, with the last name like that, it is convincing, but we don't know. We'll see. So they could be brothers there, but I'm waiting for Ollie to actually confirm that. All right. So, yeah, but C Strong is being called out by Fraser Hewitt as well for the win. So C Strong is certainly strong because we saw that in the London course.
We are seeing Callan Douglas here saying, Jared, I'd get ridden off the wheel on the ergo. Haha. So we are seeing Fraser, Hewitt saying C Strong for the win. Good to see all you guys calling out those predictions as it does whittle down a little bit more and more. If we do get a smaller pack, we will do a vote over on the Zwift Community Live Mixer channel and see if anybody's got any opinions over there and get a little bit of a voting from the Facebook as well. Let us know what you think, who you think is going to win this race. Or let's hear some shout outs for some of your favorites or any of your relations out there if you are watching some of them race here out on Zwift today. So Jeffrey Creel here, I've been watching out for him. You know, look at the heart rate here, 146 beats per minute. We haven't seen a lot of action from the Vision Boys just yet. You know, the Zwift kid here, 172 though, pretty high heart rate there. But Creel at 148. And then we also see here Stolz here, C. Roberts also down that 165. I have a feeling without a whole lot of action from them, they might be planning something, as I do know for a fact that they usually use a team car with a Discord channel to communicate with each other about how they're going to attack out on course. They also got Zawadzki out there, so 4 from Vision to be watching out for. They've got the manpower to throw some off the front there. Innovation also following there. Have they got enough left in the pack here, though? I'm not seeing too many more from Innovation, so I think maybe MA has been isolated here amongst the team. Shaw at the back here, still 156 beats per minute now. Also seems to be keeping it pretty cool. It looks like everything's kind of calmed down at this point. It's kind of that point.
Cooled off. Yeah, it's cooled off a little bit, Nath. Now everyone's sort of reassessing and guarding and seeing who's going to make the next move, really. And it looks like everyone at the moment is thinking the same thing. So that's caused a little bit of a lull here now, and quite handy for the people that were on their limit as we saw the bunch stretch edge each time. But it looks like another WP Taz has gone off the front here again, and that is Zach again. I think Zach Johnson has gone again now, and is going convincingly now. He's up in the 700 watts there at peaking. But again, that heart rate is pretty high there at 180 beats. So he's definitely working to his limits there, but wanting to make this a hard race.
Yeah, Callan Douglas is saying Johnson for the win. S. Johnson for the win. I'm not sure if it's Z. Johnson or S. Johnson that he's calling out there, but Johnson immediately had a 1 second gap, actually. That's going to cause some stirring in the pack here, as I see C. Roberts, who's also, like you said, won in the past here, trying to close this down. These three get off the front, as we are seeing Wes Wheels here, as well as Roberts and Johnson. 3 second, 4 second gap. Constantine on the front on the Z Power, 5.7 watts per kilogram. He might be able to pull this in as an auto bus, but the rest of the pack there are coming around him. 3 seconds is the difference. If they can hold on to this before the 2-tier, work together, hold on to a gap, or at least just be caught at the bottom and then kick again in the 9 watts per kilogram, they might be able to cause another gap, as a lot of riders are going to be just hanging on the back here and trying to keep the speed with the rest of the pack that is chasing this down. Roberts again on the front, 6.1 watts per kilogram, but 182 beats per minute. This might cause some mayhem for himself, actually, being that he's going to be into a serious hurt locker when they do hit this 2-tier here. A lot of times the timings of these attacks can put you in a whole lot of hurt if you time them incorrectly there, Wes.
Yeah, certainly do. And I've learned from that first-hand experience of mistiming, like, and then you roll up one of these little pinches here, and if you haven't calculated that, where you are on the course, and you go, oh yeah, that's right, I've got this little pincher coming up. It certainly does hurt, especially if someone goes over the top of another attack. Like you brace yourself for the first attack, which we'll see probably a few aero props going up here now. A few people getting rid of those drafting power-ups, Nathan, because they're not quite as strong. So maybe you want to explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so the drafting power up here does reduce the power you have to put out in order to hang on to someone's draft. So you can sit in the wheel. It can be used as a counter to another power up sometimes if you can really use it well, but you got to be able to really know the draft and know how to perceive whether or not you are holding onto that wheel in front of you and really be able to react to the power in front of you. But they are getting rid of these because they probably don't want them. They want to find that arrow power up. We are seeing people taking a risk here using their arrow power ups as well, as you are seeing them move into the lap banner here with 5 to go, 4 off the front. And yeah, the draft power-ups were used because they're not quite as strong. They aren't necessarily attacking power-up. And if you don't have an arrow or a feather power-up into this final, a lot of times the draft isn't going to help you out to come around someone. It might help you to hang on to a wheel, but as soon as you leave that draft, it's not much for you.
It's only worked for me one time, and that was in a pretzel finish. But everyone was pretty spent anyway, and I used the drafting boost to come off someone's wheel. But yeah, it's ideally in a race like this, Nathan. You're not going to come off an aero power up with a drafting boost.
Such a short race. Everyone's going to have a pretty good kick who's made that final, and trying to come around if somebody does have an arrow power up, going to be almost impossible with the kind of speed that they're going to be hanging on to. Ginger sitting on the front here. Ginger absolutely killing it right now, 4.7 watts per kilogram. I believe this is Pedal Power Jersey, perhaps Ginger Citizen, as he is just waking up early, I believe, over there in the UK, I believe. So Johnson here, though, on the front, 179 beats per minute, going with Ginger Citizen. It doesn't look like they're going to be caught. They did have a group of 4 trying to get away, but unable to do so as they are leaving the volcano for their 5th lap.
And we just saw B Hill up there as well. So that's Ben Hill. So Ben Hill is actually racing over with a team in Slovenia at the moment, and just finished really well up in Tour Slovenia. Actually was in the leader's jersey at one point as well. I'm not 100% sure whether he finished up in the leader's jersey, but he definitely won a stage, was in the KOM jersey. So he'd be up early, I guess, now over in Europe as well, racing this. So good to see Ben getting involved in it as well.
Yeah, Benny Hill there on a Tuesday, getting a little tune-up race. This is that speaks a lot to the motivation that comes with racing out on Zwift. I mean, that's if I know I need a hard workout and I look at a set of intervals and I look at a Zwift race and I know that I don't need something that's like super specific, I know I can get away with the Zwift race to get a killer workout in, but at the same time, I used to use these for tune-up races, actually, for the weekend, right? So, I know all my intervals are done. All I need is some super high intensity, something that's really diverse in the intensity, and nothing like a Zwift race, actually, I think, to push you to your absolute limits. And even if people aren't attacking, well, you can just attack for yourself and try and get away and then put yourself in the hurt locker.
Yeah, which we've seen probably Zach Johnson do a few times here tonight, just sort of stirring the pot and increasing the pace, getting a really good workout out of it. And also Josh Wilson, who's been stealing a lot of my Strava comms lately, actually, back in Tasmania. So I recommended that he get involved in this E-Crit and use a little bit of firepower on here instead of stealing my KOMs.
Is Wilson actually out there today? I'm looking through here.
Yes. Yeah, it's okay. Jay Wilson. Wilson. So he was in those early moves. So right Josh has been training a lot. Yeah, he was actually in the amateur team with Richie Port and Will Clark was in the same team as well in the Ben Long Swiss wellness team, which Pat Shaw was linked in with as well. So yeah, he had a little bit of unfortunate events of actually well, it was fortunate in the end that they picked up through operated on and removed, and then since then had to retire because of the heart condition after that, but has made a full comeback now, and has been training really hard during the off season, actually a lot with Richie Port, and got himself into really fit shape. I don't know how many kilos. I have to ask Josh, but I reckon he's good to see Josh is really taking this on, and I wish him all the best with his comeback. And he was actually off the front in the national championships in the leading breakaway during the start of this year in January. So hopefully Josh can find his way and fit somewhere into a team.
That's the great part about Zwift. There's a story behind every one of these avatars, and it's really great to see Josh here attacking off the front after that unfortunate series of events. And now we do see him with 4 laps to go here with 3 seconds now. Constantine trying to close it down again with the Autobus on the front there. But it looks like Matsuki here out of Japan going to let that go. And maybe this is the smart move, actually, to allow the Z-Power to kind of do its own thing on the front there. And then we might be able to see somebody come across without the help there from that rider. But now it is going to be Trek here, 4.8 watts per kilogram. And, you know, a lot of times in Zwift racing, for me at least, if I know I got the power and I want to create a break, I will allow something to get about 10 seconds. As long as it isn't like 10 riders or 5 riders or something. If it's like 1, 2, 3 riders, all right, let's slow it down on the front, right? And then I know I got the power. I sit mid-pack, and then let's go 15 watts per kilogram for just a quick little bam, as hard as I can go, or whatever you can, 12 watts per kilogram. If you can kick that hard, you can close that down like nothing. And the other riders weren't prepared for it. You get the jump on them. They have to follow you at the same kind of kick if they want to close it down with you. Then next thing you know, you've got 2 or 3 that could go with that kind of a move, and now you're off the front with a pack. You know, and that's a lot harder to close down for a pack this size than it is just for 1 or 2 rides. You do see right here, Wilson was off the front there. Looks like it is going to be closed down here by a larger group. If he was able to get that third, now here's a counter though. Johnson sees an opportunity, knows a few of the strong riders have done some work, and now trying to get a break here up at that 33 miles per hour, 7 watts per kilogram. He's going to have to hold on to this for quite a long time though if he's going to get away here. As Constantine continues on that 5.6 on the front, but up in the 187, so he's definitely working to try and produce this kind of power right now. But now Roberts here, keeping it steady on the front there, 5.0, 5.4. With this kind of an effort, I'm not sure Johnson's going to be able to get away. We'll see if he can kick through this second half of the volcano and hold on. 5.4 consistently there, but 29 miles per hour on the front end of this group. Again, Johnson definitely going to get that most aggressive rider jersey, I would think, today, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get away.
No, it's going to be certainly really hard for him to hold on, especially with the likes of who's left in that pack as well. You know, Cameron Roberts is mighty strong and also C strong as well, winning in the sprint finish convincingly in the London course. These riders can easily pounce across, but at the same time, Zach's going to give it his all out there in front and make sure that he makes them actually work for it. We're getting an update from Ollie Jones as well on Facebook, and Ollie's filled me a little bit on the Hugo story. He said that he has a brother as well named Max. So those 2 are brothers. Ollie is not related to them. However, they do share the last name, but he does train a fair bit with Hugo, and Hugo's in the New Zealand track team. And he's done a few World Cups in the pursuit team. So, that's the update on that one. So, Max, I'm not sure if there is a Max in there. Is there a Max Jones in there racing as well? But there are 2 brothers, but it's not related to Ollie. So,
gotcha. That is this is some serious firepower today, Wes. You just said World Cup. Then you said training with Richie Port. Then you said, and then you said, everything you just said about who these riders are. Then we were like Aaron Dunn, winner of last year, second place in last year's E-Crit. This is the serious heavy hitters of the heavy hitters out on Zwift, I think, in this race. Has it been like this every week with you and Jesper as they are attacking up the front again here, 9.9 watts per kilogram before they even hit the 2-tier? See Roberts trying to get away.
This is what we're in store for week after week. we are increasing in firepower. Usually is at least like 4 or 5, but today we seem like we have, the top 10 riders in this eCrit series. Obviously, knowing now that just announced actually today, if you haven't jumped on a Zwift Oz Facebook page, that Zwift Power now you can opt back in to make that third-party app connect. So if you haven't had a look at that yet, go across to Zwift Oz Facebook page. I've posted some details in there. If you're not on that one and you're on the Zwift Riders, also another Wes Salmon has posted on the Zwift Riders page. So you get up to date with that, and there's an opt-in to say yes to third-party apps. So that way you can we can start to get this series underway and get some points going. So these riders will go from pre-season, which this pre-season, as you see, Nathan, is pretty strong. Will certainly start to count towards some points for the overall series.
Super excited to see those third parties come back in with that API. I was actually having a conversation with Wes yesterday all about that, and he said he was going to be posting about that. So I'm glad that he got that out there, and that it's not quite ready yet, just so you guys know. It's like you can opt in. The opt-in option is there, but it's not going to be up and running yet. So make sure you start opting in, and we're hoping, I believe he said by the end of this week or next week, hoping that is not a verification. There's still some background work to do to have Zwift Power up and running. But as soon as that's good to go, we will be going with a series for the Crit Series. So we are in preseason. In preseason, 6 seconds off the front here, Roberts is letting us know that he is a force to be dealt with here. Constantine Sill trying to close that down. Wes Wheels here. What now? Is he? Dude, what's this Wes Wheels? I feel like this has something to do with you. I have no idea.
There might be a little hint in the name of that there, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that would be Greg Watson. So he's probably... There was a little bit of a joke when he first entered on Zwift last year. He put his name as Wes's Wheels because he actually bought some training wheels off me. Actually, the racing wheels for his bike. So yeah, there was some old wheels that I had to get rid of, and he picked those up off me. So I think he was saying that I left some power in them for him, but I think he actually only probably could ride with one on Zwift anyway. So he's only getting half the power.
Gotcha. So Wes Wheels, Greg Watson, killing it here. 3.5 watts per kilometer, 188 beats per minute, though. It looks like he might be hanging on at this point, as a few of the other riders, I think, have calmed down here. Cameron is just being let go off the front here. 4.6 watts per kilogram. He was throwing down solid 5 to 6 watts per kilogram to get away here. We did see him drop back down to that 4 or so. And at 182, 181 beats per minute right now. 105 RPMs. He's really spinning to win it here, trying to get away. This is actually an attack that they're going to have to start thinking about. They have calmed down, it looks like, and said, we're not chasing that. We're going to let that go at this point. I wonder if we're going to see anybody try and attack from the pack to try and close that down. The Vision Boys aren't going to help. There's 3 of them in there. Somebody's going to have to go.
Yeah, someone's going to have to go, and that will most likely, I'd guess, one of the WP Taz boys will probably attack because they've been quite aggressive this whole race, but that would definitely just play into the hands of Vision if they did do that. So at this same time, with tactics-wise, it's a little bit of a hard one because this is certainly going to be difficult to pull back if they don't sort of react now, because Cameron Roberts, as we've seen in the other preseason as well, has stayed away in situations like this and hasn't come back. So, yeah, someone's going to have to make a move. It looks like someone's taking on the chase now, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to actually get off the front. Actually, it is Smash. H Smash is off the front.
Yeah, H Smash here, hanging out in the Radavast kit, actually, on a Tron bike with some pink socks. Going in style, it looks like. Rubber side up. It's rubber side. I didn't ever notice it said rubber side up, actually, on the side of there. I'm loving that.
I didn't know that either.
I think that might be a newer Radavast kit, because I would have noticed that, because that is an old school kit, actually, in Zwift. So maybe I just missed it all this time, but I'm kind of liking that. Smash here, giving a little kick out of the volcano, did speed the pack up a little bit. They will be going downhill now at this point, 35 miles per hour, as you can see on the front here, but it is 12 seconds at 6.2 here. Roberts able to stay away. Roberts actually on a Cervelo S5 with some dish wheels, not even the fastest road bike out on Zwift here. Ginger sitting here now 3.7, 31 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour there. As you can see, the difference, though, between riders that are in a pack and riders that are solo, it's about a 1 mile per hour difference at this point at less watts per kilogram that they're putting out on the front there. So it's still going to be difficult here for Roberts. He's going to have to really give everything he's got to hold on to this. I'm not sure how long he can hold on to 5.5 to 6.0. I think this is going to have to slow down eventually in order to try. I mean, just as the reality of what somebody can handle after all these attacks on the front of this group here. But Constantine here now, along with Johnson, there might be an opportunity here because he is not going to have orange numbers. We are not going to see over 8 watts per kilogram for very long on this climb. As you can see, those Strong and the rest who've been sitting in are going to have those kind of numbers. Here's the kick from them. They're going to be able to close it down, and if they get a gap and are able to go with Roberts, they may be able to really get away. This might be a breaking moment actually with one off the front. A lot of times when 1 or 2 do get off the front and then there is an uphill grind, we do see somebody get away, but now it's calmed down again. Looks like they're not super interested. Maybe not enough time. Maybe too much time left in the race yet, and they think they'll bring it all back together.
Yeah, I think so there. And also another update for C Strong, which we saw at the front there. So Corbin Strong. So that has also been updated from Ollie Jones, saying that he is a very strong rider and is all class, a young kid. So I'm not sure about any more details on that, but Ollie Jones, the Zwift Academy winner, is giving me a stamp of approval. So as we've seen in the London course, he was quite strong. But these riders here now, with letting Cameron Roberts sort of dangle off the front there is certainly very dangerous at this stage.
Well, and it's really dangerous as well because we're starting to get some lap traffic actually here with the C riders as well. So, you have to make your way through those riders, and anybody who's just hanging onto wheels might get a wheel confused. There might be the inability to come around some of the riders that are traveling slower because you were just drafting the entire time. Get mixed up with them, and next thing you know, you're off the back. So this is the time to make sure you are going with everybody who's traveling as fast as they possibly can on the front of these groups right here. Came in here now trying to hang on with the rest of the riders. Actually, a lap rider actually just jumping on board as the freight train comes right on through. And it does look they were able to close the gap down to Cameron, I believe, as I'm not seeing him off the front any longer. The speed on the front here, as we do see Dunn now, last year's eCrit final winner, 2.8 watts per kilogram, without anybody over 15 seconds ahead, and I do not believe he was any more than that. So it is all back together on the front with 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go. We're almost on the bell lap here, and I think the riders are going to start getting a little bit jittery, start getting a little bit anxious, and I think we're going to start seeing attacks on the front. We are seeing a lot of comments actually coming through over on the Mixer channel. We have some... we actually have some questions coming through about what is this? How do we get this? This is so for those of you who are new, again, we'll say one more time, we do have a lot of people who have never seen Zwift before on some of these streaming platforms. Massive multiplayer online game and training tool in which all these riders are real riders represented by these avatars, and they are powered right now. The speeds that they are putting out are actually by power that is being put into real bikes from their homes or wherever they're riding those bikes in real life. The watts you see in the upper left-hand corner is a real measurement of power that's used in cycling in order to figure out how strong you are. And the watts per kilogram in the right-hand side in the rider's list, 4.3, you see 3.5 there. That's actually how many watts that you're seeing in the upper left per kilogram of weight that's on their body. And those two put together will give you a speed based on the algorithms in Zwift that should be moving that avatar forward. So just like in real life, the avatars are moving forward at a speed similar to what you would see in real life with these riders and their bodies here. So Jay Wilson here competing with C Strong for the front end of this race here. This is the Australian crit race here for the Land Down Under. And what's the date we got here today? We're on this June 26th, looking toward the eCrit series to start up here as we do get our Zwift Power back on terms. This is preseason leading into the actual series that will, I believe, are we going to be having a live final again this, Wes? Has that been confirmed yet?
Yeah, I had a bit of a chat with Johnny, and a live final is in store for the finale of the eCrit series. Yes, so working the process of that out. And yeah, looking forward to getting this series back underway as soon as we can, really.
Yeah, so the just so everybody knows, as preseason, this is going to lead into a series of races, actually, where the riders compete to be, usually it's top 10 for men and women, to find qualification to an invite to a live final where there's actual prizes and competing, like a LAN event, like in all other esports, where they have LAN events for their finals. Well, for verification purposes and just a more controlled environment, as well as having an awesome event, live esport event, they have live finals like we had with the North American crit, as well as the European crit and last year's Australian e-crit. So we're in preseason right now. We're seeing who's who. And man, have we been getting some serious real-life athletes here showing up. We are heading into the Bell Lap here. Let's start hearing your predictions. We heard Greg Jones. We're seeing Ginger Citizen kick off the front here. Creel been very quiet. I think he's won quite a few. Have you seen Creel have many results so far?
He hasn't been able to take part because it's been clashing a little bit with some of the CVR races. So Creel hasn't taken part, but usually has been quite strong. But he's been very dormant today, so it makes me wonder what he's got in store for this final lap.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Yeah, he was trying to get involved for the Vancouver race that took place over this weekend, actually, for the CVR World Cup. It looks like he is able to show up now today, though, as he did not go to the CVR. So it looks like Steven's here, done, though, on the front now. They're heading to the Bell Lap. Now, interesting to see, no orange numbers going into the Bell Lap. Everybody's reserving for the sprint at this point. Tactically, they know it's such a large group. I think they know with 10, 15, 20 riders, it's going to be very difficult to get away at this point, and they're leaving up to the sprint.
Yeah, and especially if anyone sort of went to go now, you'd almost get those counter reactions of just a few people even sort of stepping on the pedals and just shutting that gap down. It's sort of that domino effect of going 1, 2 over the top of each other, and it's really hard to get that gap when that happens. So you have to do a full-on sprint like you're about to sprint 200 meters to the finish line to actually get any sort of a gap, and then obviously you go straight into the red zone, have your heart in your mouth, and you have to continue on for another whole lap trying to do that. So we see Zach Johnson out here stirring the pot again. Looks like a bit of a shake of the legs. Not a real serious break because we didn't see too many of the orange numbers pop there, and he's sort of just hovering out there, maybe stirring the pot for a counter move by Josh Wilson.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that's what he's able to do. I did see a little bit. Now, riders are starting to disappear for me. That's not a good thing. Hopefully, we'll be able to stay with them as we get around here. But we are seeing Johnson here, 6.3 watts per kilogram. Nolan as well. I believe there are a lot more riders actually around them as I am seeing, but we do not have a watcher out on course here. That's actually on me and my mistake, actually, the beginning of the broadcast here, as we usually have one rider riding out on course here. So we'll see if we can stay with it. I am a part of the, actually, I think that's the reason why, is I think my avatar got kicked from the event. So hopefully we can stay with this here and not lose the front end.
But no, you have to, I think we'll have to do maybe a quick reboot is what Jasper has had to do in the past. So we can take a quick break and then reboot and come back.
Yeah, so we might have to take a quick break here. I'll have to get my avatar back out with the rest of the riders. We'll be right back here, guys, with this race here. It'll only take us a couple of seconds to get the riders right back out here. That's way too long. Okay, we should be good. As I did click ride with Creel, and we are heading into the final here. Sorry about that, everybody. We had a little bit of mishap there. Usually I have a watcher out there riding around at 150 watts. I did not get him started up today, and that is my fault. Apologies on the broadcast there. It is a little bit of a workaround with Zwift that we do have to do right now in order to stay with the leader sometimes. We are into the last, I believe, about 700 meters, though, of the race. At the front end here, still a large group, and the predictions are coming through here. We are seeing Dunn, Harrison Carter. We're seeing a couple of Wes Wheels from Watson. Hugo's another one. C. Strong, another one. Lots of predictions coming on through here. We are seeing long range from Pat. Of course, Tim Surf for the AHDR calling it out as well. Is Pat actually still in the group, though? I believe he got dropped off a little earlier.
I think he got dropped off. My prediction was actually Nathan there when you come in with a speed of knots, but it looked like Nathan's dropped out quickly. And now it's like
Wilson,
Josh Wilson
though,
off the front.
Off the front, 4 seconds. That was a very early attack. He's paying for it, though. 10 watts per kilogram here coming from B Trekkie here. 10.7 watts per kilogram, actually with a feather power up to boot, though, over the top. But here comes the aero power up. Benny Hill letting us know the kind of power he's got. But C. Strong there, 13 watts per kilogram, though. Is he going to be able to hold on to it? Here comes Roberts as well with 13 watts per kilogram with that second kick. Strong, though, coming on through. The early attack was from Hill. Hill's not going to be able to hold on, though. It looks like it is going to be Roberts to push on through. Hill, Strong.
What a finish.
For third and second there. So Roberts, it looks like, then C. Strong, then Benny Hill. Hill actually was the first one to go, ended up fading on through on the sprint there. And it ended up being Roberts taking the win.
It looked like his aero power just faded out that last 100 meters or so. So he probably just popped it that little bit too early there. And that last pinch to the line can really draw on the legs. It feels like it's going up to, 20% in that last part when you've sprinted at lactate coming out of the eyeballs, and then your power up fades and finishes before that finish line. And so does your morale, because that really hurts.
Yeah, it looked like Ben he was going to hold on to it, I thought, with the kind of kick that he had, but it did fade at the end there. Roberts looked to have timed it perfectly right along with Strong. It was between C. Strong and Roberts at the end there to the line. Less than a second difference for sure. Maybe even a tenth of a second, half a bike length or so. But it was Roberts that was able to come through at the end. What a race there between them all. It looks like Zwift Kid is saying he came out with this cleat with 300 meters to go on that uphill actually there. Well done, guys. Congratulations all around from all the riders. And that's really what it's all about here as well. They all got a killer workout, and a lot of congratulations all around, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like, so as we dropped out there, it looks like that Josh Wilson was away when we dropped out. So he only just got caught in that last 500 meters. So that was pretty good effort there to stay away that whole time. And looked like he was certainly groveling there towards the end. But everyone's got a great workout here tonight. Good to see, some very classy names in amongst this pack here. So I'd like to keep building that. So make sure that you tune in next time and tell your mates also about the eCrit series that's coming up. This is the preseason, so there is still time to be involved and gather those points as well. If you're enjoying the stream, then make sure you give us the likes and comments, and we'll be here next time for next week.
Yeah, I think next up, I believe we're going to have a chop race on Thursday. I believe Jesper may still be traveling, and Johnny's traveling well, so I think I'm going to be here on Thursday. We haven't confirmed that as well, but watch out for the chop race on Thursday. And
you're back again, Nate. It'll be me and you again.
Who else is gonna handle it? I mean, somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to do the work here.
Yeah, there's going to be some heat because the chop is actually gaining a lot of momentum in terms of numbers as well. I think the mass participation event that a C grade or D grade rider can actually ride and race against some of the pros as well that jump in here and race and actually be competitive, and have a chance to win as well, because the groups of C grade and D grade were balling out to nearly 50 plus riders. So I think the first week we had 100 odd riders, and then we went to 160, and then we tapped over 200. So let's see how many we've got for this Thursday coming. So that'll be at 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time on Thursday night if you want to get involved and race, or if not, you can watch me and Nate here commentate on the actual race as well.
Yeah, for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, chop, what are you talking about? I think a lot of people might know, maybe down in Australia, it sounds like a common term with rides, but
chop off.
Yeah, so the way that it works is the D's start first, then the C, then the B's, and then the A's, and the faster groups chase the slower groups, and everybody has a chance to win. And the more people that join each group, the better chances you have to be able to power that group to stay away or to gain on the leaders. The cool thing about that is a lot of times in these broadcasts and in the races, it's a strongest man show, strongest woman show, and that turns into an everybody show where everybody can shine and really be a part of the race. Even if you aren't one that's going for the win, you can be an addition to the team, to the A team, the B team, the C team, the D team, to put in an effort and try and keep them away for the W. So it's a really cool thing that's happening on Thursdays with the Chop Race with WBR. And make sure to tune in, or race, obviously. Clipping in would be cool as well. So jump in with that. Wes, thanks a lot for joining in with the broadcast today. It's been lots of fun having you here. Congratulations to all the riders as usual. And we will see, I think next up on ZCL and Zwift stuff will be tomorrow, Workout Wednesday. Make sure to tune in for that, 2 p.m. CST, 8 p.m. UK time. And I think everybody in Australia is sleeping. So
yeah, most likely we should be. So yeah, thanks again, Nathan. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on Thursday, 7 o'clock Australian Standard.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, everybody. Cheers, and ride on.